Maris, I first want to welcome you to the podcast and say thank you so much for bringing your expertise on maternity leave and all things motherhood and business ownership. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh gosh, expertise. I feel like everyone's winging it in motherhood. But yes, I'm so excited to be here and I feel honored that you invited me. I've been a big fan of the podcast since it came out and obviously a big fan of PMU. We've worked together so many times. So this is really exciting.
Yes, I agree. It'll be really fun. Okay, so you run not one, but two businesses and you are a mom. So I'd love to start a little bit with just sharing a little bit about your journey and what your businesses look like today as you balance motherhood and business ownership.
Yeah, definitely. So I started pet sitting in high school, and it kind of was just a trend throughout my life, and definitely on the side in early adulthood while working as a manager at a big box retail store. And I was running the online order department. So the pandemic hit, and we grew 300% overnight. It was absolutely bonkers. And I was just so burnt out, and I was pet sitting before work and after work and trying to coordinate everything and turning down pet sitting clients. So we closed on our house in April of 21 and my husband's like, "Well, why don't you just go full time?" I was like, "Yeah, we've got a mortgage now. Let's just see what happens, right?" Like really a sink or swim moment. So I was solo for a very short time. We just got so busy and there's only so many hours in the day that it didn't take me long to bring on help. And from there, we just kind of kept growing. And I had the idea for Elegant Paws, our wedding pet attendant service. I guess it was late 2023. Got the branding done with PMU in January of 2024. Then found out I was pregnant in March, so it definitely hit the back burner. I had to stabilize House of Paws, which is our pet sitting business. And I had to stabilize that with management, get some structure, figure out what that was going to look like. So after I came back from maternity leave, kind of found the flow of being a mom and having a business. We just got Elegant Paws website completed with PMU earlier this year and officially launched August 1st. So it's there's been a lot of change in all of that. So, but before maternity leave, I had like no upper management. It was just me and some help with things here and there. And I was probably working, gosh, like 50 plus hours a week. And that's like a slow week for me. But as of today, we've got two full-time managers, two team leads, and 22 part-time staff. And I work on or in my business anywhere from like 20 to 30 hours a week with times that work for me and my family. So it's this everything that we've worked towards before maternity leave has really made my business better as a whole. And not even just for maternity leave, but just in general. It's been awesome. It was a push I needed, but didn't know I needed.
Yeah, that's so incredible. I feel like that's so much to like balance, and it's cool that you've been able to successfully like work 20 to 30 hours a week, have your kid. It's so cool what you can do. And have you noticed that you've become more productive? I feel like after becoming a parent, I'm like I can actually get like triple the amount done in like the same amount of time.
Yes. Well, and I thought I was such a multitasker beforehand, and she's proven to me that I'm not, especially now that she's mobile and getting into everything. But I'm a much more strategic time blocker now. Like I have set business time and set mom time, and I feel like that's only fair to both the business and her is because I have those set times. Because when you multitask, it's just juggling and something ends up falling. So being really good about my time management in general has, again, made the business better and made me a better mom because of that. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's get in a little bit to like the maternity leave prep. Like, how did you know things needed to change? Like, what did that process look like when you're like, oh, I'm pregnant? How is this gonna work as a business owner?
yeah. So, I mean, like I said, maternity leave really forced me to stabilize and better organize the business. Beforehand, it was just kind of fly at the seat of our pants. Let's just handle things as they come at us. And it worked whenever I didn't have a little human to account for. So, my goal for maternity leave was 2 months off, and I was due early December. So, I knew I was going to be out. I could have her around Thanksgiving. I was definitely going to be out for Christmas and New Year's, like peak pet sitting season. So, really getting strategic with that. So I planned for my last day to be the day before Thanksgiving, whether or not she was going to be there. I felt like a set time or set day was going to work, and then I would come back like mid to end January. So my goal was again the 2 months off to focus on me, her, and just what life looked like when she was there. You can't really plan for that as much as you want to. You really can't. So the biggest thing was removing myself from the field, which tends to be the biggest obstacle in general for what we do. And so we changed from hiring like as needed, like as we got busy, to just overstaffing in general, just so we always had that overflow or someone for that overflow. And I think that's honestly what pushed a lot of the growth for the business too, is because we don't turn anyone down because we always have someone that's available. Theoretically, there's always some sort of nuance to that, but that's really what it comes down to. And then once we got the staffing figured out, it was a lot of like the back end admin stuff, which again can be really time consuming. So I just started time auditing what I was doing every day. So, like, what tasks am I doing every single day that's repeated? If I don't do them, someone else is going to have to do them, things like that. So, once I did that time audit, I kind of figured out what anyone could do versus what only I could do. And things like payroll and marketing strategy are me. But things like reading client notifications, onboarding new hires, I could teach someone how to do that. And so, kind of figuring out the right people and what those processes looked like and putting the right people in those roles is so vital too. That's a huge part of the business also. So, and with all that too, like going back to the things that I do every single day, like how could we automate those processes to make them easier on my staff? And it also makes management more affordable when they're not spending their time doing all these little small tasks constantly over and over and over again. Then you have a system that does it for you and takes their time to go do other things. So,
Yeah. I feel like people, the like dreaded time audit, I feel like it's like a thing that people are like, oh, you need to like write down what you're doing every day and figure, like, and people don't like, I hate doing it. I've had like
yeah.
several business coaches be like, you should do it, and I'm like, I don't like it. I don't know why it's that big of a deal, but it's so crucial to figure out like what is actually, because you can have a rough idea, but a lot of times we're also wrong about where we think we're spending our time. And then from there,
Mhm.
like you said, figuring out what you can automate and put into processes or what you can delegate, or maybe what else you could even just let go of.
Yeah, and I used to time block. It would just be like I'm doing office hours from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. But now when I time block, I'm like, okay, from 11 to 12, I'm working on this specifically. Okay, it took me less time, so let me shorten that. Like throughout the day, I'm adjusting my time blocks to really see how much time I'm actually spending on those things. So I'm still time auditing now. It becomes kind of a habit. I'm kind of a type A where I schedule my showers too now, but we'll talk about that, I'm sure, at some point.
I love that so much.
Yeah, it makes sure I get everything done for the day and it makes me feel less crazy, even if it makes me look crazy to someone who's looking at my calendar. So
You're gonna have to like screenshot your calendar so I can see like what that
I
looks like
will.
because
Oh, it's color
I'm
coded.
oh I'm okay, so I love that. You're gonna have to send that to me because that's so cool. And I'm like, despite being a designer, I'm very type A, like very like I'm the exact same way. And by scheduling everything out so like perfectly, you're right. It not only tells you what you're doing, but you know that you're gonna be able to like nothing's going to get missed. Everything is taken care of. You're almost more strategic with your time with it. It's just I
Definitely.
definitely I'm the same way.
Well, and my problem too is I schedule that big gap of time for office hours and I get in front of my computer and I'm like, what am I doing? So every Sunday I make that point. I make that schedule out. And I was doing that in the beginning while planning for maternity leaves, but now like I do have to plan my work time around when I have childcare. So again, every Sunday I'm planning out my week that's coming up and I know what I'm working on, when Violet's going to be taken care of, and just kind of going from there. So again, it's evolved and gotten more intricate over time, but it really does work.
Yeah, I feel like motherhood truly forces you to like be more productive with your time too and strategic, which is
Definitely.
awesome.
Yes,
It's like we have
definitely.
less time, but we're more like powerful with our time, which is awesome.
Exactly.
Okay, so for this episode, we're not just talking maternity leave. It's for anybody who's thought about like stepping away or just perhaps someone like considering the option of travel, like whatever it is when it comes to stepping away from your business or maternity leave, which is more applicable for us. But like where do they start if they're intimidated with that? Like what's the very first thing to do? Is it that time audit or like what do you suggest, as that
It
first step?
that time audit is so important because then you really start to see what things, again, that you do every day or what questions that you're answering over and over and over again. And that can answer the question of what to start automating. Because I feel like everyone talks about automating and how you should do it, but no one talks about like what you should automate. And the question is, you automate what what is taking the most time. So that time audit really kind of helps you figure out, okay, if I took 30 minutes away from answering the same question over and over again by having a saved reply somewhere, that's going to save me 30 minutes to put towards marketing, social media, things that do take time that you can't necessarily automate. So if it's things like onboarding new clients and employees, that should have a system behind it. And then once you have that system made, what can be automated for that? When it is the emails that go out, the training that goes out, things like that. So once you figure out things that can be automated, basically the good rule of thumb is that if you do anything more than twice, it could probably be automated in some way. So Zapier and Slack are our core tools for automating. So it connects a lot of our other systems in place, like our client notifications, reminders, new clients and leads that come through our website. It all gets zapped into Slack. So it's Slack is our central thing, but Zapier pulls things from our other, like our website, our CRM, and puts it all in one spot. So it's easier to look for and nothing gets missed that way. And again, it just makes it easier for everyone to be on the same page, especially when you do have that management tier. Slack can be really powerful for more than just communication within the team. We have two different ones, one for our management, one for our team, and we could not operate without it.
Yeah, and it's nice too with when it comes to automations because a lot of times I feel like people get held up on like the price, right? Like, well, I don't want to spend, $30 a month on something, but it's like, man, think about how much time you're actually saving and how much is your time worth. It actually allows you to make more money. And it's just funny because I remember that hurdle, like before I started using like booking soft, like all of that kind of stuff. And then now looking backwards, it's like, oh my gosh, like how much time do you have? Nothing's getting missed. It's saving so much time. It's
Exactly.
incredible.
It really is. And having all these different softwares, again, like most of us can't run all of our businesses in one spot. Like some of us have time to pet, which is our client scheduling, but that's not really fixing like the team communication side of it. It's not fixing like your hiring process or anything like that. So you have multiple places that you're going to be at. And Zapier is just kind of like the middleman that talks to all those. And whether you have like Asana or Notion, it can talk to all those things. And Zapier's come out with a new thing. It's like a little chat bot. So you can tell it what you're wanting to automate and it'll build it for you. And then you just test it. So like you don't even need to be super like technologically advanced to figure that out. They have AI to make other systems that make it easier for you. So
Yeah.
it's a cool time to be alive. Like I gotta say. And
Yeah.
I live for this kind of stuff. It's so fun and
Yes.
so interesting for me. So
Oh, I completely agree. And I feel like the cool thing with Zapier too is you can start very simply. Like you can start with just like one automation, like if this happens, then do this. But you can also build it out into like a pretty intense web. Like we have two different Zaps that are almost both of them like I think like 100 different like steps in the Like it just looks like a big map and it's incredible. Like the power of Zapier is incredible. I highly recommend it as well.
yeah, I mean, we have one that's as simple as like we get a message in Slack from Zapier whenever we get a new email, just that we're not sitting there refreshing our email multiple times a day. We just get a zap whenever it pops in there. That way, okay, now we know we need to go check the email. Like it's little things like that, but it's things that save those few seconds because those few seconds really do add up. And again, when you're paying management, every second counts. So,
Yeah, it's actually a really good idea. I'm like write that down. That's not one Zap that I have. I think that's really awesome. I feel like our main ones are like onboarding. I feel like is like the big
yeah,
thing because it's it's so much like getting everything compiled so that everything's taken care of.
it
But
is.
thinking about like your day to day like whenever you get an email, because I am one of those. I'm like refreshing my email, or
Yes,
I'm like always have it
constantly.
up, or I'm like glancing down, like okay, is there like a symbol that's saying that I have mail or whatever, which is another thing when you talk about like boundaries and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so I guess like how have you figured out what you want to outsource to your team versus what you can do with tech or like what you can let go of? Like what was that process like?
Yeah, so I work with Michelle Klein really closely, and she has been a huge resource for this. She had been a big part of my business growth leading up to all this anyway. We've been working together for about a year and a half at that point. And my mom gets so mad when I talk about this. Michelle was one of the first people that I told that I was pregnant, besides my husband. Because I called her she knows if I'm calling her immediately, something is wrong. And something was wrong, but I was just like panicking, like, oh my gosh, what about the business? And I am a self-labeled workaholic. That was my first worry was what about the business when I found out I was pregnant. So she helped me prioritize the things that were the most essential to maintaining our growth at the same rate while I was no longer the one like spinning the wheel. So she told me like this is what you need to make sure you're getting off your plate and then we kind of go from there. She's a big fan of business owners keeping like revenue generating activities on their schedule, like marketing, bigger picture things, and while other people take over the day-to-day things. So before I even found out I was pregnant, I was already like handing things off that I no longer enjoyed or I just wasn't as good at compared to other people, like bookkeeping. I'd pass that off like in the first like 6 months of my business. But tracking receipts, making P&Ls, not my thing. Please, if you're hiring anyone, hire a bookkeeper. And the next thing I did was I outsourced hiring. Well, I didn't outsource. I trained someone else up on it and then let them take it over. I was like, I trust your opinion. And she's done great. She's been with us for 5 years now. She's built our entire team. I haven't met any of our new hires in a year and a half. And
Wow.
our team is fantastic. So, but she's just better at it than I was. I needed to be on the phone, scheduling calls, getting stood up. We all know how hard hiring is. So I said I handed off those things pretty quickly because it just didn't fill my cup and other people did it better than me. And then after that, again, just came the automating. So just finding things that my team was doing constantly or I was doing constantly that they didn't necessarily have to do. So things that could be replaced with an automation of some sort that we were doing it. That's why a lot of things got pushed over to Slack. It just made things so much easier and just easier to track for everyone. I wouldn't have to follow up and make sure someone checked the email or someone checked for a new lead that popped into the website. So everything got a process. A person was assigned to it and trained up on it, or multiple people were assigned to it and trained up on it, and it was handed off to someone else. So we had started it before I got pregnant, but that really got accelerated and all encompassing once I found out that I was going to be gone for a little bit. So
Yeah, it's funny how that can accelerate that process. But getting everything set up that needs to be set up, that's awesome.
yeah, definitely. And just all the things that you need to document. You have it all. You'd be surprised all the things that live in your head and you think they're always going to be accessible. But gosh, even if you're not planning on leaving for any point, just having all that documented because God forbid something happens to you, what happens with your business? Your employees still need to get paid. Like your clients still need someone to come visit them. So even if you're solo, document all those things. That way someone's able to step in and help or at least contact people when needed. Because I can't even imagine if something bad happened and I didn't have any of these things documented. Like I'm the only one that runs payroll, but there's still a process in there. That way if something happened to me, my manager could hop in and figure it out. That way it could get done.
Yeah, for sure. No, and I love that. And I think something too that people don't really often talk about when it comes to business ownership is also the mental load of remembering everything that you need to do. So getting that, or even just handling things that, like you said, with hiring, like, or no shows, or like, complaints, or just like things like that, that if your team can handle that for you, like it takes so much off your like brain when it comes to like the mental capacity of having a business in general. And when you're stepping away, I mean, even more so, like knowing that you have somebody good who can handle those things, who cares about the business, like all of that is so important to like the mental and physical capacity we have.
Yeah, and it really, like I said, just it comes down to having the right people in the right places. And it took some maneuvering. It took some job description changes, especially once I got back. We got to find out things that didn't work. But that's the beauty of business is like no one's holding you to that. Like try something, if it doesn't work out, go back to what it was before. It's not going to hurt anyone, and most of the time, no one's any better for it. So
Yeah,
or
for
knows any
sure.
different.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and if I bring up, a little bit more of like the mental capacity or the mental load and mindset and all of that kind of stuff, I'm curious, did you struggle? Because I know you say you're a workaholic, and I feel like I really resonate with that too. I remember like in the beginning, not to get sidetracked, but I remember in like the first, like, I don't know, maybe 2 years of my business, I probably worked like, I don't even know how many hours. I mean, like 60 or 70 at least. And I remember like my boyfriend, now husband at the time, would come home and I'd be like, don't talk to me. Like basically like go about your time. Like I'm working. Like I was definitely like that until I got systems in place. But anyways, I'm curious for you when it came to knowing that you were going to have to step away. Like, did you struggle with like the fear of that? Like, how did you move through the mindset of like knowing you weren't going to like be there?
Yeah, I knew I would struggle with like the actually taking time away part of it. Gosh, especially around Christmas time. Like that's our peak season. So my biggest thing is I slowly weaned myself out as we got closer and closer. One, to kind of find like the holes in the systems. So like I would be off for a couple of days or like someone would take like the daytime shift and I would like do the nighttime shift and things like that just to see like what was missed, where like is there something that came up that we didn't know how to handle. So things would pop up and there's always going to be something. I don't care how many policies, procedures, and things you have outlined, there's always going to be something that pops up that you have not planned for. So, but just taking those moments and growing from that. So I just, like I said, I slowly weaned myself out of it and it kind of made me more comfortable with the idea too of not being there for everything. And my husband is one of our sitters. And it's so funny because it won't be my time on. And he'll ask me, like, hey, can you fix this? I'm like, I'm not the manager on duty. You're going to have to reach out to your admin chat Slack
That's
and
incredible. That's
get them to
great
put
boundary
this
keeping.
fixed. As well, like, he's like, well, how am I supposed to know that? And I'm like, well, So the manager on duty posts a morning shift visit, a message every morning. So reach out to that person. And I've gotten better about it. And again, this kind of forced me to, but because of maternity leave, we made those processes. And that way, no one ever questions who owns what. There's always set times and set everything for everyone. And no matter what day of the week it is. So
Yeah, I love that boundary
yeah.
keeping. That's incredible.
It drives him nuts, but I love telling it to him. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
well, I'm not online today, so find
Yeah.
someone else to handle it.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love it so much. That's awesome. Okay, so to pivot a little bit, because you mentioned that you did branding and websites with us, I'd love to just ask you, like, have you noticed any impact from an updated brand or website that supported your ability to be able to like step back and like let your business run more independently? Like, how is that a factor in there too?
Definitely. I feel like boots on the ground marketing was so big for us and whenever we first started, like just getting our brand out there, and it still is, but getting legitimate branding that's super recognizable. Our branding is very pink and blue and bold and very millennial coded. And I always joke that I'm not a pink person, but a lot of my life has turned very pink since the brand itself. So, but our brand and our website is our biggest billboard, and people will recognize our branding now, like just talking and like being out in public and wearing our shirts. And so, getting the refresh on the website, we got another refresh earlier this year, actually in January. We did like a whole new because we had like branded photos and all of that. So, I think that's really helped drive a lot of traffic because we got more SEO oriented with that. And the website itself will kind of direct people where they need to go. If they're current clients, there's a link to the portal, so they don't have to ask us for it. They can just click on the portal and log in. If they're new clients, it kind of helps them figure out if we are a good fit for them, if we're not. And if they are, tells them where to go, what the next steps are, like what to expect going forward. Of course, there's other automations that follow all of that too. But the website is that main marketing. It's everything. I mean, even our new hires go through our website at this point now. So we're marketing to more than just clients on our website. We're marketing to future people that want to work with us. So it's really important. And then your brand has to resonate with those people. I think that's how we've been able to find the right people for our team and staff so quickly and have a wait list for people that want to work for us because our brand is just awesome. And we walk the walk and talk, like we do we preach what we do. Like it's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. That's incredible. That's so like cool to hear. And I'd love to one day talk to you about more of like the automations that you have that piggyback off the website. That'd be cool. I'm like, that's
Yeah,
a whole separate
it
separate
is.
podcast episode.
Oh my gosh. And it's so intricate, like you said, like it can really get kind of crazy. So
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. Okay, so getting back to preparing for time away in your business. And again, whether this is maternity leave or if you're just feeling burnt out and you want to step back a little bit, can you just walk through like what's the first like small step that someone can take this week to just make their business a little bit less dependent on them? Like something that, because I think sometimes it can be feel intimidating to be like, okay, just like throw it back and like automate everything and hire, like those are really big things to do. So like what, like where, like just one small little step.
going back to that dreaded time audit, I mean,
Mm,
figure out the things that you're repeating every day and see if there's a tool that can help you. And if you're not sure what that tool might be, again, I hate to say go back to AI, but ask ChatGPT, but like, I'm doing this every day. What tools exist within what I'm already using, whether that's Time to Pet, Slack, whatever, that can integrate or just make it easier for me. And it'll give you some ideas of ways that you can automate it. Maybe if you use Asana or any of those other like task management tools. A lot of them have automations built into those systems, and you can make it easier that way. Like I mentioned earlier, Zapier's got that cool chat bot where you're like, I just want to automate getting a message in Slack whenever I get a new email. It'll build that out for you. And then you can test it, tweak it, and then just get it done. So again, that time audit, figure out what you're doing constantly and find a way to automate it in some way just to pull those if those little seconds really do add up. So if you're not refreshing every 5 seconds, you could be using that writing a blog or something like that. So
mhm. Yeah. And again, those aren't like those few seconds too aren't just like a few seconds worth of a task. It's also like your brain capacity as a business owner as well. Like you're being pulled in so many different directions. And what if you could separate that out a little bit? I feel like that's so crucial as, especially when you have so much on your plate.
yes, definitely.
Okay, so you mentioned Slack and Zapier. Are there any other like tools or softwares or systems that you rely on to make all of maternity leave work?
Yeah. So I said we could not operate day to day without Slack for team communication, Time to Pet for our client and schedule streamlining, our CRM for new client and employee onboarding. our website for capturing those new clients and employees, and then Xanthia again to tie all those things together. And it's kind of like the pretty little bow that intertwines everything into one place, wherever that might be for you. But like our CRM has forms that live on our website, but those forms wouldn't exist if I didn't have the website to host them. So they all really do play a part together. So those are really like the core of our business. If we didn't have those, then I don't know what we would do.
I know. Yeah, technology is game changer when it comes to being able to automate things for
Yeah,
sure.
that's really what I kind of tie everything to, or how fast we grew. I mean, it's been, I guess next April will make it 5 years since I went full time. And now we've got, again, two full-time managers, two team leads, 22 staff members. Pretty sure we just onboarded two more or got two new acceptance letters. So and it's just constant at this point, and we could not do it or keep track of all of it without technology,
Yeah.
honestly.
Absolutely. Okay, so yeah, so now that you are back, you're back working like 20 to 30 hours a week. I'm curious, like, has your view of like you as CEO changed since coming back in the business? Like, what was that like, I guess, on the flip side, right? You have like both leading up to maternity leave, things are kind of crazy. You're outsourcing everything, like you're building all these systems. Now you're back. Like, do you notice a difference like coming back
Uh,
in? Like, how has that been?
Definitely. Morgan Weber, she always says the CEO does not mean a chief everything officer. And so I am no longer the chief everything officer and more of exactly a CEO, like a chief executive officer. So I'm the mastermind, air quotes, behind the big picture, but I'm not the sole owner of everything that happens every single day. I don't have to be on call 24/7, and I get to work on things that really fill my cup whenever I do have time to work, while still having time to like watch Violet play and helping her grow and be a human and do whatever we want to do in between all the work that we have to get done at the same time. And I'm still a huge planner, time blocker. Like I said earlier, it's probably gotten even worse now. But there's still a lot more freedom built into it because the business isn't forcing me to have a full plate unless that's what I want. Like I think I told you earlier, like I have daycare Monday through Wednesday for her. So those are my work days. And so if I'm on 3 days a week, but I'm off the rest, that's a good deal for me. So
Yeah, and it's awesome that you can build it the way that you want. I feel like every mom I talk to has such a different like schedule and view of how they want to do it, and it's so cool to be able to have that control to be able to set that schedule
yes,
and that time.
definitely. Oh, if I worked a traditional 9 to 5, I don't even know. I could never go back to it,
Mm,
honestly. Like power to them, but it's just not for me anymore.
yes, agreed. Okay, so did you notice anything while on maternity leave that you wish that you either did sooner or did differently? Like any mistakes or like advice that you can pull from, I guess, that you wish you did differently or sooner?
Yeah, honestly, I wish I would have done this all sooner. And I know that sounds so cliche, but I truly was the bottleneck. And if I would have just trusted my team and let them do what they're good at doing, I think we would have been even bigger than we are right now. Like it made me a better boss and even a better friend, honestly, because that's when part of what we do is like we are friends with those people that we are the boss of, again, air quotes. And I think if I truly was able to leave them alone with their jobs sooner rather than later, again, we would have been a lot bigger than we are now because I know that if anything truly pressing pops up that they do need help with, they'll bring me in. But other than that, I just kind of leave them be and they do what they're supposed to be doing. So if I had pulled myself out of the equation sooner, all of this would have been figured out a lot sooner. And you live and you learn now. So
Yeah, that's what I always just I say too in my years of business is like every quote unquote mistake is actually a learning opportunity to do something different next time. Like it's always a learning opportunity, like seeing it as a positive to like, oh, okay, well now I can shift this, I can update this process, I can, notate it so that someone can catch this next time, like all of that stuff. But did you find it hard as like a workaholic though to be able to do that? Like for me, that's really challenging. Like I'm like always, even like with VIP days on Brandy days, I'm like in there, like, it's like even though I'm
watching.
not in there, I'm totally in there. Like and it's hard to be able to like I don't need to be. I'm with my son right now, but I'm like, oh, like is this going well?
Well, that's what, like I even now it won't be my on-call day, but I'll still find myself like pulling up Slack and just like reading some of the things, and I will see things going down sometimes, and I just watch. I don't interject. I just wait for someone to bring it up to me, or if they solve it on their own, even better. So it is tough, and like I said, the kind of weaning myself out of it over time and giving myself a set day that you are not allowed to touch things from this day to this day really, really helped me. Like we're going out of town next week for half of it's going to be family and the other half's going to be the Dogtail conference, which I'm so excited for. And my husband and I were like, we are doing a hard, like, no phones like throughout the day, like mornings, like sure, and then evenings, but like we're not going to be on our phones a lot during that trip. And I'm really looking forward to it. And it's going to be hard. I know it is. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy. And I know whenever I do have my phone, I'm going to be checking in on things, but that's just but teams got it. As I put the policies and
Mhm.
everything into place, they know how to handle it. Knock on wood, nothing too crazy comes up, but just like, I don't know, ask yourself, what would Barris do and figure it out. I trust your opinion.
Yeah, and I think that's something to be said too about hiring the right people because I feel like, and that's something it took me a while, like over the years to figure out, like, okay, what is exactly that person that I know I can trust? And honestly, I think the biggest advice there, obviously industries are different and all that kind of stuff, but like finding somebody who does the job better than you do is like key because I'm like, well, they're gonna do a better job than me. And it's also very humbling, but it's like really nice because I'm like, I know that they're being served best, but I can also have a little bit of balance in my life too, can run things as CEO, but I know that the clients are getting the best work and finding somebody who's better than you are at what you're hiring for like bookkeeping or whatever it is, it's so key.
Yeah, and just trusting their opinion. I mean, if you don't trust them, then they probably aren't the best fit for your business. But if you trust them to make the best decision for you and for the business, then that's probably the right person. Anyone is trainable. You want to hire for just the passion and then train the skill. It's really hard to teach passion if it's even possible at all. So if they have the passion, you can train them on everything else. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, do you have any final advice on maternity leave or extended leave prep for our listeners?
Oh gosh. I guess the best thing I
Hmm.
can advice would be like no matter how much you plan or document, something is always going to pop up that you haven't dealt with before. And like you said earlier, like just don't beat yourself up over it. Just learn from it, document it. That way, the next time something similar comes up, you have something around there. Hopefully, your current systems solve it. But if not, again, that's like one of those holes that you just fix as it goes on, and then you move on to the next day. I mean, we work with live animals and people, so it's never predictable, no matter what. Even if it's the same dog that you've seen a million times, something can always happen. So just be prepared. It's okay, handle it the best that you can, document for next time, and wait for the next what the heck just happened to pop up. So,
Yeah. It's almost like that, like it's an expectation. I think that sometimes, like, when even like with websites, like you think, like, okay, you launch your website, like, now I don't have to touch it again. That's off my checklist. It's like, not really, actually, because there's always room to improve, or there's some update, or it's always fluid. And I think it's the same thing with like SOPs and, automations. And like, I'm sure you guys are regularly in like Zapier, like, oh, this needs to be spruced, or I need to add this to the SOP. I think also, like, I think people get held up on like, oh my gosh, I thought that everything should be running smoothly and like I should be good to go, but it's not necessarily the case. And getting people in place who can also help you update that every time. So anytime there is a new scenario where everything's being automatically updated, I think just understanding the reality of this is always fluid as a business owner.
yeah, it means that your SFPs are a living, breathing document. They are never stagnant. Technology is always changing. The people sometimes are always changing. So being able to make it trainable for one, and then also just making it something that is applicable. And again, changing as the times change because it will never be a set it and forget it. Some things like your general policies and procedures, but there's a lot of things are always changing. So
Mhm. Yes, it's like the beauty of business ownership.
yes, definitely. No day's ever the same.
Yes, exactly. All right, where can people connect with you and learn more about House of Paws and Elegant Paws?
Yeah, so you can check out our super awesome websites at houseofpawspetcare.com or elegantpawsstl.com. And links to all of our social medias are on there also. And our social media is also our pride and joy and our baby. We do put a lot of work into those. So the branding makes it super easy to find. So
Love it. That's awesome. I'm just curious too, if you don't mind me asking, because a lot of, we've had clients who come in and do wedding attendant services within their pet care company. I'm curious of your decision to decide to do something completely separate.
yeah, so I wanted to split it up because one, I'm just kind of an overachiever and I wanted to say I have two businesses. And the brand tone is totally different. House of Paws is very like bright and pink and fun and punny. And Elegant Paws is a lot more like sophisticated, calm. like not say like not trustworthy is not the right word because they're both very trustworthy brands, but just totally different vibes that I wanted for both of those, especially because it is a higher end service. So plus the SEO side of it and what people are looking for, it just made sense to have two different websites for that. So
Yeah, I love that you did that because I mean it is really smart and it is complete. While of course your clients can overlap, it feels like it's two different segments of what people would be typing in to search for Google. So especially
definitely.
if you have your services all on like one page, like on your pet care company, it's like, oh, I do dog walking, pet sitting, and what wedding attendant services. It's like if somebody is searching for that specific service, like you guys have to just be like one of the first ones that pop up because people probably don't have a website that's dedicated to that, and that's the power of being able to niche down and do that. It's so smart.
Yeah, definitely. Well, like I said, no one wants bright pink and blue, anything walking down the aisle on their wedding day. So Elegant Paws is black and maroon and cream and very like calming colors. So
Hmm.
totally different brand vibes for sure.
Yes, yes, absolutely. All right, before I end recording on this, we always like to end our episodes with asking our pet business owners your top mindful practice or tip that you do on a daily basis to reduce stress and burnout in your life.
Yeah. So, like I said, I am a time blocker. I'm a planner. So, if you are a planner like me, which you probably are as a business owner, schedule time for yourself and make it a non negotiable, like any other meeting, whether that's time at the gym or time to do nothing. There's literally time on my schedule where it's like nothing. Do nothing at this time and make it a priority, even if it's just like an hour a day. Something that's just for you that again is a non-negotiable that can't get changed, even with all the craziness of running a business just like ours. So
Yes.
make yourself a priority because without you, it's not a way, it's not a business. Even though no matter how out of it you are, you still are the core of it. So
Yeah, no, I love that advice. And I feel like it's one of those things that's like very easily said, but it's actually a matter of getting it into the calendar. And you kind of have to, like, I think people don't take it seriously. So they're like, oh, like I'll do this walk at some point during my workday and then it doesn't get done. Or I'll eat my lunch at this, like random time between X and whatever. It's like, no, actually get it on the calendar so that you actually
yeah,
do it.
yeah, that's why I literally schedule my shower times. And it's not to say that I won't shower if it's not on my schedule, but the rest of my day makes sense as to when I'm going to be able to do so. So I just, again, my whole day just kind of comes together that way. That way I'm not scrambling and I'm not going to bed at 10 o'clock at night trying to figure out, oh gosh, I forgot to do this. It's no, everything's planned out the week ahead.
Yeah, I love that. I'm gonna have to see a picture of your calendar. I'd love
I'll
to
send
see like
it.
the color coding is just like totally my thing. So I would love to see that. That's so cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me and for being willing to share about your full picture of like maternity leave from beginning to where you are now and the systems that allowed you to be able to step back. I know that so many of our listeners will appreciate this. And I know we talked about this before we even hit record in previous weeks that I feel like maternity leave is not something that's really like being covered in the pet industry. Like people don't really talk about that motherhood and business balance. So I appreciate, your eyesight into this and how to set yourself up for success because there are a lot of moms out there who are also business owners. So thank you for being willing to
Yeah.
share all of it on there.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. This was so much fun.